welcome to Joanne's Sweet and Savory Creations. Today, or tonight, I'm going to show you how to do a pot roast. Well, this is a beef roast. On top of the stove, gravy and all, I'm going to put my carrots and potatoes in there, green peppers. That's spinach for the side dish, but I'm just going to show you a quick way if you don't want to turn your oven on. It still might be hot, but it's not going to be that hot because of the heat from the oven. So far, I have seasoned this with a little basil garlic powder, and I'm going to continue seasoning this with the rest of my seasonings. I have my black pepper, my garlic, my basil, my bay leaves, which I need to go get some more bay leaves, seasoning salt, and my onion soup mix. So when we come back, we're going to continue this process. Those not subscribed to my channel, please do so. Thank you for everyone that's been holding in there. All right now. Okay, I'm back. So I'm just going to continue to season this roast. You can put any kind of seasonings you want. This is just what I'm using. And then I'm going to put some seasoning salt. And I'm not going to put a whole lot because I'm going to use the onion soup mix. And that has a lot of salt in it. So we don't want to overpower it too much. Let me get this big roast up, honey. Trying to get it in. I might have to just flip it with my hand because it ain't working. My hands are clean, y'all. Alright. I'm going to give it a quick wash. And I smell that oil, so I'm going to turn it down just a tad. Same thing on this side. And I use a lot of garlic because garlic is good for you anyway. So that ain't going to hurt you. Now garlic salt, yes. But garlic powder, no. And if you use fresh garlic, it's even better. I'm just going to go same way. Season it. Okay, so then I'm going to sprinkle it with a little cornstarch. You can use flour, whatever your desire, but I'm going to try the cornstarch this time. Give me a spoon here. Not one over there, so I have to get one out of my drawer. And just sprinkle on both sides, like so. And this just is to help your gravy. And I just take my hand, y'all, and just go all over it like that. Just like that. So and then I'm just going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure it's distributed evenly. And just take your hand and just make sure it gets all over the roast. Now my grease is ready, y'all. So I'm just going to go ahead on, shake the excess off, and put it on in there. Down a little bit. Turn it down some, the fire went down. Okay, so when I come back, I'm going to cut up my veggies. Get this all cleaned up. Cut up my veggies. I'll be turning over my roast. And we're going to get this party continue started. All right now. Okay, I am back. So I'm letting my roast sear brown on both sides. I'm about to cut up my carrots. I washed them off. You want to make sure you wash them off. I cut off the ends. And I don't want to cut them too little. So because these are like thinner carrot. I don't want to cut them too small. So I'm just going to put them over in my bowl. And then I'm going to cut up my potatoes. I'm doing probably about 4 to 5 carrots. Take that off. There we go. You just want to make sure they're not too small. You don't want them to get lost in the sauce. So I'm just going to move these over. I'm going to leave my skin on my potatoes as well. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm just kind of cutting them kind of big and cut off the ends. Yep, and then I'm going to cut my potatoes. Come on. I guess she said she's making pot roast. Yes, I am. I had a taste for it, but I didn't want to turn on my oven, so that's why I'm doing it on top of the stove. And actually, really, it's going to come out the same way. It's still going to be tender. It's still going to taste good. Okay, so I'm going to flip my roast over. Should get a nice little sear on it, which it does. Now I'm going to cut my potatoes. I'm going to cut them down the middle first. And then just, like I said, I don't want them to be cut a little too small. I want a nice little consistency. This is too thick, of course, so I'm going to cut it again. And it's whatever your desire is, but you don't want them too small, because then it'll be like mashed potatoes in there, and you don't want that. So like again, I'm going to cut it down the middle, and then just slice them like triangle size. Might do another. You cut this one in half. That's just too thick. So one more. I might do one more potato. Cut them like that. Go. Okay. I think I'm gonna cut one more potato. Okay. Rinse it real good because I'm leaving the skin on. And when I come back, then I'm gonna show you the next step in this process. All right now. Okay, I am back. So now I've got all my potatoes and everything cut up. I'm getting ready to cut up my green pepper that I'm going to put in my roast. And I'm just going to cut it up, but I'm going to add it to my pot. I'm just going to cut them up in strips, not too small, but I want them kind of thick. I'm getting lost in the sauce, y'all. So I'm just cutting them up a little thick. I'm not using regular onions because I'm using the onion soup mix. But you can add the regular onions in if you want. And then I'm gonna cut this up. Okay. And I'm just gonna add it to my green peppers. To my potatoes and stuff that I got over there. because I'm going to add all that in. I'm going to let this, turn this down, and I'm going to let the roast cook and get tender. And then we're going to add our veggies at the very end and let that cook in with the roast and the gravy and everything. And it smells good up in here, y'all. Wish you could smell it. Now, you can cook your potatoes and your carrots separate if you want. It's all to you. I've done it before. You know, it's whatever your preference is. So, okay, so now I got all this cut up. Now I'm going to add, which I don't have, I should have had some beef broth, but I'm going to cheat, y'all. Sometimes you gotta cheat a little bit, right? So I'm going to add in, I'm looking for my beef. I just bought it yesterday. Okay. So I'm getting some from the rice room, y'all. Sorry. And I just bought this last night, but I have to buy another one. But I usually keep beef broth, but I forgot last night to get some. Okay, so I'm just going to add in some water. Make sure y'all come up so y'all can see. I'm just going to add some water in. Make sure it covers the meat. And then I'm going to add in my onion soup mix. Make sure it covers the meat. Okay, now the meat is covered. And then, before we put in the beef seasoning and the onion soup mix and the other seasonings that I want to put in here, I'm going to take a spoon and scrape the bottom of, take a spoon and scrape the bottom, because you want all that goodness at the bottom of the pot. Kind of lift this roast up some so it can breathe. And that helps the gravy as well. That's going to help that gravy. So you just want to make sure you get all of that at the bottom. Okay. Now, move this over some. It's hot. I'm going to add in, which I need to get some more bay leaves here. These are all smashed. So I'm just going to add in a few of these since they kind of smashed a little bit. I'm going to add in the beef broth. The beef seasoning, should I say? Not the beef broth. But if you have beef broth, you can use that. I'm just going to put that on in. Okay. And we're going to stir that around. Okay, and then we're going to add in our onion soup mix. Add that in. Just regular onion soup mix. Okay. That's why I didn't put a lot of seasoning on, a lot of salt on the roast, because I knew I was putting in this extra other seasoning and I don't want it to be too salty. So we're going to let this cook for about an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most, until your roast is nice and tender. This is Dutch oven, y'all, so it cooks really good. I'm just gonna make sure the broth and everything is distributed real good over this. Now, I think I will add my green peppers in. I don't have to wait on those. But my potatoes and all that, I will add in the last half hour of me cooking, which is 3:45 here in Ohio. So it's gonna take the 4:45. That's an hour. And so about probably I'll say about 5 or 6. This will be halfway there, and then I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna take it up and cut it up in chunks so it'll cook even better, and make sure it's tender all the way through. So when I come back, we'll be finishing up this process as far as putting the potatoes in and cutting up the roast, not bite-sized pieces, but nice pieces so it can cook even more tender. All right, so I'll see you in another hour to close to 2 hours. Okay, I am back. So it's 4:50 now. A little over an hour. I put this in at 3:45. And while I was gone, I cut up the roast. Not in itty bitty pieces, but nice size pieces. And I gave it a little taste too. So now I'm going to add to my pot the potatoes and the carrots. I also season them with a little salt, pepper, basil, garlic. Even though they're already going in some seasoning, but I want to just make sure it was seasoned all the way. And I'm going to add a little more water to this. And then I'm just going to turn it down a little bit more, a little low. And you just want this to cook for another half hour until your veggies are tender. Gravy has formed, which I'm going to add a little more water in here. Make sure that it's enough to cover the potatoes so they can get done tender. Oh, this looks good already, guys. It looks good already. It looks like beef stew. That's what it looked like. Beef stew. Okay. A little bit more. A few more, and then I'm done. So now I'm just going to give this a nice stir from the bottom. Make sure the meat gets all in between the veggies and everything. Oh, this looks good. And I'm just going to add a little more pepper on this. More pepper. I'm going to give this a little taste too, just to see, do we need any more seasoning? And I'm going to add a little more water. So I'm going to taste it first. See. If it needs any more seasoning. Okay. Right in the middle there. Let's see. I'm going to add a little more onion soup mix in. Just a little more. But I'm going to add the water in first. We'll add the water in first. And then I'm going to add a little more onion soup mix in. There we go. Just give this a little stir. Scraping the bottom. Make sure all that goodness at the bottom. So when I turn this up, it'll make that gravy that I want. Okay. I'm going to add a little more of the onion soup mix. That's a good taste. Use a tad more seasoning than when you putting in. Turn this off. When you add water, it takes away the seasoning, so you're gonna make sure that you're putting seasoning back in. Kind of. Hold on, I will be right back. I gotta open this up. Okay, so we're just gonna add in just a little, not the whole pack. And we're gonna give that a stir. And then I'm gonna turn this up a little bit and let this come back up to a boil and see what we're working with in another half hour or so. So about 35 minutes. We're gonna let this go till our meat is tender and our veggies are tender. So I will see you back when I'm ready to plate this yumminess. All right now. Okay, I am back. Here is the finished product. It looks good. It tastes good. It's tender, as you see. I'm going to give it a little taste for you guys. Just a little bit. Oh my God. Okay, I got a little potato, a little meat. This is so yummy. Look at that. See how tender it is? See how the vegetables tender? Oh. Well, hold on guys, my mouth is hot. If you want to see more recipes like this, please hit your girl up. Joanne's Sweet and Savory Creations. Savory and Creation. I had a carrot in my mouth. And please leave a comment. Let me know how I did. If I can use improvements or whatever. Until next time, for Joanne's Sweet and Savory Creations. Bye-bye.